Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Logan.
Welcome to the Rangers journey.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Saturday night post-match reaction to Kilmarnock 0, Rangers 3. To go over it, I'm joined with Chris and Marty. Marty, I think he's having laptop issues. He'll join us shortly. Chris, did you enjoy that?
Saturday night, 3 goals, clean sheet. Can't beat it, Jock. Fantastic, really good. Look, don't worry, get too carried away. I thought it was a workmanlike performance from Rangers tonight. Very professional performance. Good to see a striker get a couple of goals, which was great. So yeah, no, listen, delighted with it, and really, really good to see us get the win, the 3 points, and hopefully everyone tuning in tonight, Jock, will all be enjoying the Saturday night, especially after that.
I think so. I think it obviously helps, doesn't it? Especially when I think we're not really used to a Saturday night like this where it's quite late, and yeah. I think we'll take it because usually, I think, as I say, it's usually 5 o'clock and we're sitting frustrated or we're annoyed, and it's going to take us. It's going to determine the mood for the rest of the night.
Absolutely.
I'll just give us a wee second here because Marty's about to join us. There's Marty back. Marty, how are you? Did you enjoy that game?
It was nice to see a decent performance for the team for a change. I mean, we've struggled obviously the last few weeks and obviously the start of the season, and quite disappointing the performances we've had recently considering. But today it seemed like it was a different team that turned up. There was a real desire to go and win the game today, which was actually a nice surprise, and I'm glad they actually took the chances that they got. And it was, again, like I said to you while we were off air, it was nice to see Miovski actually get not just 1 but 2 goals as well, especially that second goal. That was nicely taken, that one.
Yeah, we'll come on to the goals as well as we sort of go through the match. Chris, obviously, sort of the big news, and when the lineup dropped, was that Tab was on the bench. Was that a surprise to you at all, or were you kind of half expecting it? Because we'd already played this the weekend before and during the week.
I think when he came off during the week as well, Jock, that was more of a surprise to me, if I'm being honest, that they took him off, especially the situation when we were behind at that point in time against Dundee United and they took him off. So not starting today, yeah, I looked at that and I thought maybe there's something there. I think we heard from in the build-up that he'd been not well the last couple of days, and I think that's maybe factored into why he's not been there. But yeah, I was a wee bit surprised not to see him on it. But I can see some of the comments are kind of in thick and fast. I can see some of the comments saying we played better without Tab. I don't know. I'm a really big fan of Tab, but I don't know if we played better without him. I don't know if it's just the balance of the side was maybe a wee bit better more than anything, rather than playing better. I thought sometimes the defence was quite ropey with some of the chances we gave away. But would Tab made a difference in that? Not sure. But what I did like, I'll be honest, is I liked Tab at right back and Aaron's playing that wee bit further forward towards the end of the game there. I thought those two linked up quite well in the last 10 minutes or so. So that's maybe another interesting one to see what happens going forward with that one.
Yeah. I think you're right. There could be something there and something to work on and something to try and build on with that sort of partnership. Marty, we'll get stuck into the game then. My initial thought in the sort of first real chance we had was Diamandi actually does something that we kind of expected him to do more and more as he's been in this Rangers team, was burst forward, and he did it a couple of times against Dundee United, and it created us a couple of chances, and then he's in quite early on. Good ball into him, doesn't really quite control it quite enough to make anything from it, but it's a sign of intention. It's what we needed to try and break that Kilmarnock line.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare our last few games to tonight, there was a lot more intent in getting a decent final ball into the box, or that final cut and pass. That was a drastic change in tonight's game compared to previous games. Obviously, it was the final touch that let Diamandi down, but that, as you said, the intent was there. They showed that they can actually put a string of passes together and get the ball into the box, which was was nice to see, and it's obviously created a fair few opportunities for us throughout the game, and obviously starting, as you've just said, with the Diamonde opportunity.
Yeah, moving on then, Chris, there was a moment where our defensive line was extremely high up, ball gets played through over the top, and for some reason the referees gave it as offside, even though the Kilmarnock player started in his own half, which again, as you have highlighted many times before, just the standard officiating and getting these kind of decisions is quite, it's embarrassing really that it was even flagged for that. But the star man for me, Barn, burst the gut to get back and made sure that there was no goal at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I'm glad you mentioned Barron there because, first of all, the decision. I thought the overall refereeing and decisions by the assistant referee linesman tonight. I thought that was really poor. I just, obviously I know it's Kevin Clancy and all, but I just thought some of the decisions that were getting made tonight was absolutely baffling. And I'm sure I'll touch on some of them as we go on. But on the positive note, Conor Barron, wow. Honestly, Jock, I'm going to go as far as say I think Conor Barron is the best midfielder in the country at the moment, bar none. I honestly do. I think this boy is getting better and better every game. He plays really, really well in the midfield. And him and Raskin, I thought tonight, I know Raskin said a bit about the last couple of games we've given him a bit of criticism, a bit of stick. I thought he played really well, both of them tonight. They didn't really get in each other's way tonight, which was good. And I think they both knew exactly where they needed to play. The chance you're talking about, what I really liked about the Barron, obviously I'm just watching it back on the TV at the moment, and what I really, really liked about Barron was when you look at that chance, Barron is miles away from the defender initially, right? And he's got, and Anderson's not a slow player, let's be fair, right? But how Barron has managed to get back there, and he's busted a gut to get back there, Doug, and he's managed to stop that from going over the line. And I just thought that typified him tonight. It really did. And I think for me, Conor Barron, we said it a couple of weeks ago, maybe after the Falkirk game, he's obviously working to try and put himself into the Scotland plans for the World Cup. If he continues to play like he's playing tonight and get better, I honestly think he's got to be at least in there with a shout. And he's one of these guys who right now, I think Rangers really need to make sure that he's the guy we're playing everything around, because I thought he was top notch tonight. Like the comments, people are saying in the comments, he's played really well as well. And I think he just does the dirty side of the game that nobody else seems to want to do at the moment. And I think that's the best thing. We've missed that job for a long time at Rangers, and I'm just delighted to see the wee man doing really well.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I've seen a lot of comparisons online and in the chat about comparing him to sort of Ryan Jack. That kind of player that does the nitty gritty, the dirty side of the game, the ugly side. That it kind of goes under appreciated really at times, doesn't it? Whenever players, it's not pretty on the eye, but it's an absolutely essential part of playing in that midfield position. And then your interesting point you said there about how Barn and Raskin weren't on top of each other tonight, which I thought was bang on, because they were rotating who was dropping to pick up the ball and start spraying the ball about and spray the passes. And I thought Raskin, probably, you're right, he was one of his better games at doing that, because he did play some neat balls and some neat passes in and around. Marty, then we'll come on to the goal. Miovski's goal. So my notes here, I have I'm crediting Diamande for a lot of it, because Diamande is holding the ball up well. He's shielding the ball off 2 or 3 Kilmarnock players. He's practically on the deck, but he's still holding it. And then he eventually sort of shuffles it across to Miovski, who just puts his foot through it essentially and just does what a good striker does and just doesn't think about it, just instinctively just hits it at target, and he's found the bottom corner with a nice strike.
Yeah, I mean, if you go from our form this season, when you've got 3 players around you, you wouldn't expect the Rangers player to do anything with it. So credit to Diamande for that, actually getting the ball out of his feet and away from the other 3 players. And obviously, as you said, you've got your main striker there, what you expect to be there and finish at any opportunity they get to put his foot out and put his foot around it and find the corner, which is actually pretty good. I actually think the keeper should have done a wee bit better with that, but understanding a lot of bodies in front of him, it was hard to see. But it was a well taken, sharp opportunity from a striker that at the moment hasn't really found any form. So for him to respond to the ball like he did and actually get the shot away, and find the back of the net was pretty good going for him, and hopefully that's the kind of goals that he can get that will kick in some form for him.
Yep. Chris, do you agree that's what we're needing from the guy is goals? And to me, it's something we've seen previously with his time at Aberdeen, because he can score a variety of goals. We have seen it in this league, and that kind of strike was just one example of that.
Yeah, he's a really good finisher. People don't realise that with Miovski is how well he can actually finish, and I think he's shown that time and time again, Aberdeen, and obviously in these small glimpses here as well. Do you know, it's funny, I'll be really honest though, Jock, right? See, leading up to it, so we talk about the pressing from Diamonde, and if you reverse back 10 seconds from before he scores the goal, right? He takes the ball and he's running, it's 3-on-3, Rangers will get 2 men out wide and it's 3-on-3 defence. I'm screaming at myself, shoot, just take the shot, right, and show the confidence. And he ends up putting it out wide left, first of all, right? And I said to my wee boy, I says, that shows to me that's a player without any confidence. 10 seconds later, he puts it in the back of the net and it shuts me up, right? That's the type of player he is. But I'm saying to myself at that point, for me, he's got to take the shot when it's at 3-on-3, right? Okay, you could have played out wide left or out wide right, but a striker at that point, if you're greedy and you've got confidence in you're banking yourself to put that in the back of the net. But look, take nothing away from the finish. The finish is instinct, and it's a tremendous finish. And I think you heard the pundits at halftime. For anyone watching it on Sky, they were full of praise for him because it's a fantastic finish. They managed to keep the ball down. It is a topo. Let's not kid ourselves, but he's not getting the backlift on it, and the keeper's got no chance. He can't save it in that position. So, look, I think that one tremendous, and obviously you would then hope at that point it gives him the confidence to go on and get more, which obviously does later in the game, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Yep,
that's it. We'll come on to that. Marty, so the goal goes in, and then there's a lot at this point there's sort of questionable yellow cards dished out to our players, I thought, and I was like kind of wondering what was going on there, because Giga wins a header and gets booked for winning a header, and then Miovski's booked for essentially nothing. You know, it's a coming together. I just thought at this point, I thought when Clancy was just sort of wanting to put his own mark on the game, you know, which is again, being Rangers fans, kind of something we're just kind of used to, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's very few games that we can think of recently where there's not been a decision from the referee which has been at very best questionable. Going on to your Miovski one, I can't actually see, because I obviously looked at the replay the same as everybody else. I can't actually see what he's been booked for. So I'm quite surprised at that, because he wasn't one of the players that was actually involved in the ruckus as such. I think it was their striker and Diamonde. So I find it rather strange that Miovski's then got booked for something that didn't even involve him. So whether that's an oversight from Clancy or not, I don't know. But he must have seen something that the camera certainly didn't pick up, because I didn't see it.
Chris, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think what's happened, Marty, there, they showed it in one of the replays just before half time. And I think what's happened is at the free kick, Miovski shoved Robbie Dees and he's went into the back of Diamonde, and that's how Diamonde's went down. It's no way a yellow card, absolutely no way a yellow card at all. And you know the big thing for me, and this is the point I was making earlier on about the really bad officiating, he's done a small shove there into the boy, right? The ball's not even in play. He's done a small shove. The boys went down. The boys went in the back of Diamonde. See, during the second half, Miovski's been shoved. Diamonde's been shoved off the ball. Yep. And both worse than the one that Diamonde's done there. And Clancy doesn't even give a foul for it. There's nothing there. And it's take away the fact it's Clancy. It's just the inconsistencies for me from refereeing at the moment. It's so poor, and I just think the fans are getting shortchanged by these referees at the moment, because, and I'm sure we'll come on to the Mikey Moore goal that was chopped off as well. For the life of me, how that one was chopped off, I don't know. I've just seen it back again there, and the Kilmarnock boy stripped himself at that point. For maybe the first, I thought it was maybe the first tackle Fernandez was getting done for, but when you look back, it's the second instant. The second instant, the boy stripped over his own feet. And there's been nothing, there's no collision with Fernandez at all. And they've chopped that off. They've said the fact that he's went and watched it again on video and he still decided to chop it off. It tells me that there's something seriously wrong, Jock, with referees in Scottish football. And I don't even think it's going to. I don't even think we can even put it down to it's biased or who they support or who their allegiance is for. It's just sheer incompetence. That's what it is. There's no getting away from it. And I've seen better officiating at my boys' level than I have at the senior level of Scottish football. It's so poor, and I just think it's the fans I feel for the most because they're the ones that are getting shortchanged off the back of this.
Yeah, that's it. It's just week in, week out now. It's every match weekend or midweek match. There's something. There's a controversy, or there's something that they can't get right with the technology they have, and the technology's all there. The only thing we don't have is goal line technology, and sure we all found out about that last season, didn't we? At Hibs away with Raskin. So it's just, well, no doubt there'll be some sort of, it'll come out and there'll be a review at the end of the month, as Colin always does come out and do, and there'll be an apology or something, or must do better. They must have it sitting and do a copy and paste job each week and each month that they do these kind of things, don't they? Because they know rightly there's going to be a bloody mistake somewhere. That brings us up to really half time then, because there's not much happened. The second half's where all the action is. I just want to jump back because Benidorm 67 was asking if there's an update on Bajrami. So obviously he pulled up in, I think it was the 18th minute. I think it was his calf, and then Curtis came on for him. And Curtis came on. He all right. I actually felt sorry for him coming off because he got involved and he had a couple of shots. One was blocked. One of the keeper saved. He got involved. As the second half went on. Would you have made any changes, Chris, at halftime?
Before I go into that one, John, can I just say, Curtis-wise, I was a little bit disappointed in him tonight, if I'm being honest. I know it's his first minutes and things like that, but he got more minutes than what you'd probably expect him to have got tonight. And I was wanting to see a wee bit more from him, Jock, if I'm being honest. I really did. I wanted to see a wee bit more. I don't want to criticise him too much because it is his first minutes in a long time. But again, I said it on the pod the other night, when these players are out for long, they become a better player the longer they're out. And I just thought tonight he could have shown a wee bit more, if I'm being honest. But look, he came in and he done a job. Getting to half time, do I think we should have changed that? Excuse me. No, I don't think we should have, Jock. I think he was right to keep it as is. I think you've always got that risk: is do you change it at that point, or do you stick with it? And I thought he done well, sticking with it, and we got what just rewards. He could have changed it. He could have said, "Look, Miovski, you've done well first half. Let's change it and stick the Neil up there, or put your Mitty in there, or whatever." But he stuck with it, and I thought first 15 minutes, second half, we controlled it. And then Kilmarnock come back into the game after that. So, it was. I think it was the right decision to keep it the sides the same at half time, but just a little bit disappointing in Curtis. I wanted to see more of him. I would say for the Bajrami one, though, what I would say in that one is sod's law for us, because I thought Bajrami, again, he started off quite well. I really like Bajrami, as we've said in the other pod the other night. I think Bajrami could be a big player. I think the good thing for Bajrami is he's walked off the pitch. You see him in the dugout, sitting in the dugout. He's not on crutches or anything. He's not been assisted or anything. I think he'll be okay. You see Red saying it there. He seemed fine. I think you'll probably find if he's going to be out maybe a week or two at most, just to protect it. Maybe you've got enough time, 10 days between now and Hibs, because he's not in the European squad. So he's not going to have to deal with all that stuff. So you never know. He might be back for Hibs on that one, and I hope he is. And hopefully Danny Rule gives an update post-match tonight on that one.
Yeah, I agree. As you say, it's sod's law. He's playing out himself in a bit of form, and then he gets an injury. It seems to be what happens to any decent Rangers player that seems to be coming in a bit of form. Mikey Moore was a prime example of that. At the national break, comes back for the break with an injury, but then, as I say, we'll talk about him later on. Mari, just for our company, I just want to give a shout out to new member DG. I think that's Walls. Thanks for joining, much appreciated. Just let you know, there's plenty of members only podcast coming over the next couple of weeks. Good throwback content and stuff coming from the guys, so we'll make sure there's plenty of stuff there to watch. Marty, then coming into the second half, I was actually thinking Diamandi's actually doing all right today. He's playing well, getting involved, looks lively. and then he has a pull on the edge of the box against the player running in. And I just put my hands at my head. I thought, what's he doing? Because whenever Sky showed the replays of it, I was like, oh, here we go. He's going to give a penalty because it's on the line, but it's one of those ones where, as we all know, if it's on the line and it goes in the box, it's going to be a penalty. VAR didn't seem to see anything wrong with it, because it wasn't directly involved in play. I think is the take I took from that. Were you thinking the same as me? Did you think, oh no?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I seen it, and then obviously the subsequent replays, I thought, oh no, we could be in trouble with this one. But I do think the saving grace was the fact that the cross was blocked in. If that had been the other way, I think we'd have been raging if it hadn't been given. So that says to me that realistically it should have been given. And I think that's a wee bit of a howler from VAR. I think, as you've said, their only saving grace really is that it had no impact on the play because the ball was nowhere near them. But if that cross had come in, I could definitely see that have been given as a penalty, because it was the most of the body and the foot was, as you know, with the previous history with Rangers and the foot on the line debacle. I think they've learnt a lesson with that. As soon as there's a foot on that line, they'll give a penalty. So I think that would have been a real high risk of being given a penalty there with that. And thankfully, the cross didn't come in. Otherwise, that would have been a penalty for Butland to try and save.
Nope, spot on. That's exactly how I seen it. We come on to the goal. Then the second goal for Miovski. Chris, neat break. There's a foul, but Clancy plays a decent advantage, which was a bit of a shock to me. Raskin finds Miovski, cuts inside, and then just completely does the goalkeeper in the near post with the wrong foot. Neat finish.
Great finish, shot. I thought the breakaway was really smart from Rangers, and as you say, again, it's that inconsistency from referees, because Kevin Clancy's done us a real favour there at that point in time by letting the play go on. So real good advantage from him. But no, I thought, look, full credit to Miovski. That for me, he even misses that, Jock. Everybody criticised to say that's not a striker in confidence and he's out of form and we expected. I'll be honest, see when obviously the camera, you see it on the camera, it looked as if he was going to put it to our left when you're watching it, the keeper's right. That's where you're thinking it's going all day long, and obviously he's wrong foot the goalkeeper. And I don't think he's not meant that. I think it's been deliberate. He's deliberate to go that way, so it is. And to be fair to the lad, it's a really, really good finish. And if you're looking at that elsewhere, any other striker in the land, just saying those are two cracking finishes from him and done really well. I just hope it now gives him the confidence to push on. I hope we now get a wee run from Miovski and see what he can actually do. But no, great finish, and I think as well, Jock, it settled us down at that point a little bit, because Kilmarnock were just starting to come into the game again. They were starting to get a foothold. They had a few chances themselves, a couple of ones thrown into the box at the back post and things, and you seen us were a wee bit nervous. So getting that second goal just settled things a wee bit, and I think it released the pressure from Rangers. So no, it was very well timed, but breakaway I thought was fantastic, and real composure from Miovski, which is not something we've seen. So no, definitely I thought it was a really good finish there.
Marty, Kerry loves your hoodie. Kerry, the good news is you can actually buy that hoodie. If you go over to Etsy and search Rangers Journal, you can buy the merch. There's all sorts of stuff there. There's hoodies, there's t-shirts, there's cups, there's mugs, there's all sorts. It has a logo on the back as well. Thanks for modelling for us, Marty. I'll put the Etsy link into the chat before we finish. So well, Marty, as Chris says, the second goal goes in, and I was like, you can see the confidence growing in this Rangers team, and there's a wee bit of a swagger starting to sort of come into play, because for the next sort of 10-15 minutes, we actually looked like a decent football team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do want to touch on what Chris said. I mean, he hit the nail on the head, that the way that Miovski actually took that shot, I think he wrong-footed the goalkeeper. We all watching it thought it was going one way, and he's obviously put his foot round it and put it the other way. There's very few goals that you could see of recent that a striker or even any player really has managed to do that, where they've actually wrong-footed the goalkeeper in such a way as well. I think that was unexpected from Miovski, especially with his recent form. So Chris was definitely right on his analysis of that it was an incredibly well-taken goal. I don't think that goalkeeper had any opportunity to try and get his feet back over to get back to that. But yeah, that we certainly we started to show that our level was above theirs after that second goal. We didn't take our foot off the gas like we've done in previous games. We kept pushing, which was nice to see. We weren't just going to, we've got a 2-goal cushion now, we're going to sit back and relax a little bit. It was nice to see the team carrying on and trying to keep that press up. So it was nice to see a little bit of confidence there, but not overly confident where they get lax, which we've seen in the past.
Well, Marty, I'll stick with you in that, because I think that the confidence obviously starts across the whole team, but there's confidence at the back now as well, because Jack Butland was called into action a couple of times, because Kelly did start to they pulled the socks up a bit and worked their way back into the game, and there was a couple of chances. Butland had a couple of decent saves as well. Nothing too difficult for him, but still comfortable enough in his smart saves that you'd expect Butland to make. As Kelly sort of tried to get their way back into the game before obviously we started making the substitutions, and then Kettlewell gets sent off. Did you see that by any chance? What happened? I did. I missed it.
I didn't see the initial part, but obviously I've seen the replay as well. He was arguing with the fourth official, didn't like what the fourth official said, went over to the edge of his technical area, kicked his water bottle. Right. The fourth official's obviously then informed the referee. Referee's come across and given him a red card, and as you've seen, he's gone ballistic. So I think there'll be a few words from the SFA to him regarding that, because it's not behaviour that they like to see.
Well, that's it. You can't expect to, especially if it's on Sky and it's it's a showcase game for us. You can't really be doing that. So expect to get that sort of treatment really from the referees. They're going to do that. We made a raft of changes then. So Danilo comes on for Diamande, Gassama, Miovski, and Curtis come off. Moore, Chermiti, and Tav come on. And then there's a heart and mouth moment when the ball slipped through. It's a slight back pass, if I'm right, and Butland's quick, which is unlike him, to come out and obviously wins the ball, but also cleans the Kelly man as well. Chris, was your heart in your mouth when you seen it initially? Mine was.
100%, Jock. Listen, for me, that's a red card all day long. Right? Some people may disagree with me. That's the other way around. We're screaming for that, right? And Jack Butland, when you look at the replay, he takes the boy out with his knee. The ball comes off of Jack Butland's right-hand side knee. Is what that was. So for me, it's a red card all day long. And if you're the other side of that, we're screaming for it, and we're screaming incompetence by referees and VAR and all sorts of, if that doesn't be given. So it was a really interesting one. The only thing you can put it down to is they are looking at it as that 50-50, because they both of them got to it in that point. Butland can't do anything else. Can't come out with his hands, right? So the only way he can come out is going for the tackle. So that's the only reason I can think that they've not given it. But as soon as it happened, straight away, even without the replay, I said straight away he's going to be off for this, because just the way he came through the boy, and I can't remember who the boy was. I don't know if it was that Watson. I'm not quite sure who it was. He came through, but when he came through him, you can see straight away it wasn't a bad one. There was no malice in it. There was no major intent in it. It was more just a stupid tackle. That's for me what it seemed like. But look, we've got away with one there, I think, and I think Butland, to be fair, if I can be fair to Butland, from what I remember, Jock, he said 3 fantastic saves for us tonight, all at different stages of the games. And if you take the clean sheet, which I thought was really deserved from Rangers just based on the overall play, Butland's got a massive part to play in that, because he's made 3 fantastic saves. Obviously, a wee bit of luck going my way as well, but I thought done really well. I was listening to one of the radio shows today, and they were saying not really many goalkeepers have stood out this season. For me, Jack Butland stood out head and shoulders above every other goalkeeper this season. So I don't know what they were on the day, but Jack Butland showed that tonight. I thought he done really well, and but that one for me was a real close one, and we were really lucky, I think. And the thing is as well, Joe, if that was at 2-0, I'm sure it was at 2. So if he goes off at that point and you're down to 10, anything can happen for there. So that was a big moment in the game for that to happen. But look, I think if you're looking at everything overall, the goal that we got chopped off wrongly, and then obviously what happened with Butland, they say these things even themselves out, don't they? And that's obviously heaving itself out tonight. Fingers crossed.
Could dress it up that way, I suppose. You could dress it up that way. Marty, what did you think? Did you think VAR's got it wrong? Did you think it was a red? Personally, do you think that we got away with one?
Well, on the balance of fairness, like Chris says, if that was the other way around, we'd be screaming for that. Yeah. And me personally, as somebody that's been in and around football and seen tackles like that, even on a Sunday league, players get sent off for tackles like that, whether it's intentional or not. He's the last man, and as Chris says, he took the player and the ball then hit off his leg. So if you took the player first, natural reaction is that you're getting sent off. So the fact that VAR have looked at that and went, "Oh, okay, there's nothing wrong there," I was really, really surprised at. I think Jack Butland's got a little bit of the rub of the green there, where they've seen this situation and they've seen that he's sliding in, so that it's not like he's gone out to deliberately hurt the guy. But yeah, I was concerned that he'd be getting sent off there and there would be serious consequences for Rangers and being down to 10 men and having to hang on to the game after that.
Yeah. Well, we see, we hung on at that point. Obviously, we got the decision, and then Mike Moore's only in the pitch a handful of minutes, and then scores a cracker of a goal. Chris, doesn't he? Picks up a loose ball. He just basically hits the ground running from obviously getting the injury, because he was flying before he got injured and before the international break, absolutely flying. And it's good to see first chance he's got, he's come back and he's found the back of the net.
Cracking goal, Jock. I thought, to your point there, before he took his injury, I thought he was starting to come onto a game. He'd played 2 or 3 games where he'd been, I wouldn't say outstanding, but you could see every game he was getting better and better. He scored against Dundee, obviously, previously as well. I think actually the one chopped off that day as well. He could have 2 that day. So yeah, I think, look, seeing him back in tonight was good. I was surprised they played him on that pitch tonight, because you know what it's like with that pitch. It's one of those ones where do you try it, do you not? And I think that's the understanding for Sterling, in case anyone's wondering. That's why Sterling didn't play tonight. They didn't want to risk him on the pitch, is my understanding of it. But no, Moore, look, again, the build-up play to that was a breakaway from Rangers. He's took the ball really well, first touch, and he's got away from the boy. And it kind of reminded me of Dundee United's goal during the week in terms of the way it was set up. But take nothing away. See the finish on that drop. The finish on that is top class. It really is. And I think somebody put it in the comments earlier on. He's a fantastic asset, Mikey Moore, to have. And I think the big frustration for a lot of Rangers fans this season has been anyone who watched him at Tottenham last season in the games he got in the Europa League under Postecoglou and things. Everyone could see the talent that this boy's got. His talent is phenomenal. He played in some European games and he was dribbling past defenders left, right and centre. He's came up here. It's took him time to settle. There's no doubt about it. It's difficult playing under the expectation that the Rangers fans give at Ibrox, especially when things were going so badly under Martin at the start of the season. So to be fair to him, he's come in and he's got that goal tonight. And that's going to give his confidence a massive, massive boost. And look, it's timely for us, because if Bayrami is out for any period of time, if that goes that way, having him back is critical, and he'll certainly cement that position in there. But look, I thought he took his goal really, really well. Second one was, again, just the instinction to take that and get it over the goalkeeper. I thought was fantastic. Obviously, it was chopped off. But no, I really liked Mikey Moore. I closed my eyes and I winced when I seen his ankle turning in the last couple of minutes, and just that innocuous challenge. I did wince at that, but hopefully he seems to be okay. He walked off the pitch and everything was okay. So, but no, great player. And I think now for me, Jock, this is a guy who can just keep going for Rangers. I think if he gets the time and he gets the opportunities, I think he's going to fly for Rangers for the rest of the season. I really do.
Yeah, Marty, is Chris. We'll come on to obviously the goal he gets that's chopped off. For me, I thought Fernandes at the back was brilliant. It was strong, physical, drove forward with purpose, and then good with his feet, did everything right. Finds Danilo. Danilo slips him in, and it's a cheeky finish. It's similar again to the Dundee United second goal at the near post, where he just lifts over the top of the keeper. But he sends him to the shot, really, doesn't it? But then, as VAR does what VAR does, they pull it back for a foul that I don't think anybody's seen. And looking back on it, I think it's quite safe to say the Kilmarnock player basically chips up over himself, but he's not involved in the play. He's not going to get close to the play to stop it. So I don't understand how that can be classed as a foul if the ball's 15, 20 yards further up the pitch. And in terms of the play, I thought it was very unlucky for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at VAR's performance overall tonight, there's quite a few questionable decisions that they've made. It's not just ones for us either; it's ones against us as well. But I mean, like you says, if anything, the tackle that happened before the one that they actually pulled Clancy to the screen for was, for me, more of a foul than the one that they've actually given. So I was quite surprised to see that. I mean, it's not like we've seen previously with other games where players will look to see where the player is, and then they'll deliberately clash legs to try and win a free kick. There was none of that there, and it was clear that it was unintentional, and it didn't affect the run up to the play, and it didn't affect the goal. So I was quite surprised that VAR even calling Clancy over to the monitor to have a look at it. I wasn't surprised that I'm sticking to the decision. Let's be honest, it's Clancy, but I was surprised that I'm even being called over to the monitor because it's nothing there. It's if there is a touch, it's the slightest touch, and it's not enough for him to go over like that. So again, I feel sorry for Moore there because it was a well deserved and well taken goal, and to finish the night with 2 goals would have been better for him than one. It'll do his confidence of what will be good, but I'm sure the guys around him will be saying, "Here, look, we didn't see any problem with that. You should have had 2 goals tonight." I do briefly want to touch on the fact that Curtis got given an opportunity tonight because obviously Moore come on to replace him.
Yeah,
it's not a good day for a player when a player is substituted on and then is later in the game substituted off. But if we look at what he actually contributed while he was on, he didn't do as well as what I was hoping. And obviously the substitution was a well-deserved substitution because Moore's come on and got a goal and what should have been a second goal as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. Again, I can agree with what Chris and yourself are saying. Kind of expected maybe a wee bit more for Curtis, but he was still involved, and tonight was a chance for him to sort of put his hat in the ring for a starting berth. Particularly if Moore's now, if we think might have that ankle injury, it might not be fully fit to start a game yet. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes going forward in the next couple of games. Butland then towards the end had a smart save, good save down low for I think it was a corner, wasn't it? Or he saves it for going for a corner. It's a long ball over the top, and the striker's try to put it in the far corner, and Butland makes a good save. And then game kind of comes to an end at that point. There was somebody put a comment in at the start here, and I've starred this, and I'm going to keep it for now, just so because we've summarised the game. I'll start with you, Chris. Was tonight an example of a crap team occasionally playing well, or was it a case of we were just better than Kilmarnock, and Kilmarnock just didn't turn up?
So I think Kay was asked a really good question there, right? And it's a really hard one to answer, Jock, at the moment. I think I don't think anyone can say right now at this moment in time Rangers are firing all cylinders, right? I don't think we can say that. I don't think we can turn around and say that there's been a huge improvement from what we had before under Russell Martin. There's absolutely been an improvement, but I wouldn't say it's been massive. I wouldn't say it's been out of this world. Look, give Danny Rule credit. He's came in and he's got a tune out of these players. 7 league games, 5 wins, 2 draws. Before Danny Rule came in, with these players, if you'd asked anybody, would you have taken 5 wins and 2 draws? Maybe the 2 draws would have been the downside of it, but you'd have bit the hand off for it, right? Yeah. So I'm trying not to be too critical of the players because I'm looking at it from a point of view of saying we know that we've sat here and criticised these players for 4 months, right? And we've talked about how poor they've been. I think we also need to give them the credit when they've turned around, and I said at the start of the show tonight, that for me was a professional performance from Rangers tonight. They went at a really tricky ground, a ground that we have struggled on, and a lot of teams struggle on. Really poor pitch. It's not the greatest of pitch there. They've turned in a performance for me, Jock, which you would have bitten your hand off all day long for. 3 goals, clean sheet, back up the road, everything looks hunky-dory. So, look, are we going to be like that every week. No, I thought we were better midweek against Dundee United, if I'm being honest. I really do. I thought our intensity was 10 times better in midweek compared to what it was tonight. I just think we were clinical tonight. We weren't clinical midweek.
Yeah.
Very much clinical tonight. The only thing that I would have a bit of concern about at the moment, and I'm sure you will both want to touch on this as well, is the inconsistency of Rangers at the moment. It's one game we're going from being really poor to being great but not winning, to then winning but not being great. Look, I'll take not being great and winning every game this season if that's what it's going to be to now until the end of the season, right? But my big view just now at the moment is we need to be within touching distance of whoever's at the top come the January window. If we can get to that position, get some players in, Jock, I think Rangers will be good. Somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody put a comment on earlier on that I'd seen that said, can you imagine what Danny Rule would do with better players, right, in terms of how he manages? I think the comment was spot on because I think Danny Rule is a really smart manager. I think he's shown already that he can get a tune out of players who are not performing to the best. And just what on with Marty was saying really quickly about the whole Finlay Curtis thing. See, when Finlay Curtis came off, you seen Danny Rule was standing talking to him for a good 30 seconds or so. And I think at that point, that's the man management side of it to say, look, I know we brought you off after you've come on, but that's got to be, it's a tactical change because Aarons goes up to the right-hand side. And I think at that point, he's maybe saying, we're trying to control the game. We're trying to maintain the 2-0. Don't want to give anything away. That's the reason. That's really smart because, as Marty said, it's never a good look when a substitute gets substituted back off again. So I thought, man, management-wise, was tremendous. But look, Kyle's put a great question in, and it's just hard to say for certain. But I think tonight we need to give the players and the management some real good praise because that's a tough victory at a really tough ground. And we came away with it pretty much unscathed, which was good.
Yeah, I agree. Marty, just your pros and thoughts then on that?
Personally, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, if you look at the performances we had with these players under Russell and then obviously Danny has, like Chris said, got somewhat of a tune out of these players. But there obviously has been a drastic change in a number of players and how many minutes they've been given. Rothwell being one for a start. He's nothing more than a wage packet at the club now. There has been a few changes which has obviously improved the team overall, which is obviously down to Danny's man management, like what Chris just said, and the way he's setting them up tactically, because we all know that Russell didn't have any real tactics. It was play it as it is and then dump everything on at the end of the game. So yeah, Danny's definitely shown him more managerial skills than Russell did, and that's credit to him for that. However, I do think there's been occasions like tonight where we've got a number of players that are outperforming their ability, and I think that's a concern, and that's possibly why we're getting such inconsistencies in performance, because when they're not outperforming themselves, they're then playing at their standard rate, and that's where we then start to struggle, because this crop of players, although most of them now that are getting the starting 11 are from last season, the players in and around the squad that we have as a choice aren't of a standard that we've had previously. That standard's dropped, and it's quite clearly dropped. And it's just a case of trying to get the best out of a bad bunch, unfortunately. So I think for the moment, and as Chris says, until this January transfer window happens, we need to keep pushing the guys to outperform themselves and get results that are unexpected of these players, and hopefully keep in touch, like what Chris said, and come January transfer window, make purchases that will improve the team overall, not just squad players, but starting 11 players is what we need to be looking at. And we need to make sure that those starting 11 are in a drastic improvement in what we've got. And that way we will then start getting the results. But I do agree, it's nice to see that we're actually getting some results. And like what was mentioned, 5 wins and 2 draws. If that was under Russell, every fan in the club's history would have bit their hands off to take that kind of points haul away if it was under Russell. But the fact that we're slightly disappointed that there's 2 draws that they're under Danny shows that the difference between the level that we were playing at before to the level now. So again, that goes to Danny and the players for doing that. But I think we've reached the peak on the current crop of players' abilities, and we now need to look at strengthening that come January.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I do think you're spot on. I don't think we could have seen that sort of turn up under Russell Martin, and anything was going to be an improvement really from the mess that we were in to compared to where we are now. So it is good to see. Yes, I think everybody's disappointed. Obviously, midweek with the 32 shots and we end up with a 2-2 draw, poor finishing, and then the Falkirk game, I think you probably could have seen was sort of coming because we were sort of struggling a wee bit. And it didn't really come as a surprise. I think it was just the manner about it, and especially being at home. But yeah, we take the win tonight. We look forward to the next game. As I said, December's a busy month for us. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of big games coming up as we lead into obviously the January transfer window, and then obviously the big Old Firm game as well. So, as Chris says, we want to be within touch and distance, Marty. So,
I just want to add as well. I think if you look at tonight's game compared to the last couple of games, I think that the final ball, the final third, was our major impact this evening. That final ball hasn't been there the last few weeks, whereas tonight we didn't create as many chances as in the previous game. However, we were more clinical with them, and I think that's the kind of thing that we need at the moment. And we're not creating chance after chance, but when we are creating them, we're actually taking them. And I think that's what was the positive part from tonight. There wasn't as many chances as what we had, but we were clinical with them, and we were making sure that we either worked the keeper or we were getting goals. And I think that was the difference tonight compared to previous games.
Yeah, I think spot on, exactly right there. Folks, we'll round up now. So as Smoke says, and I've left that comment up there, hit the like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Helps the channel grow. So that's what we're trying to do. So please hit like and subscribe, and I'll give a shout out to our pod sponsor here, which is the Bluebells Bar in Puerto del Carmen, as you see on the screen here. Bluebells Bar is a family-friendly pub where you can eat, drink, chill, and party. They show every Rangers game live. I'm pretty sure I think one of our members, Colin's, out there, and he watched the game there tonight. There's a few snaps or a few pictures in the group chat of that. It's a great spot. They'll look after you. They have a nice balcony. You can sit in the sun. You can sit in the shade, wherever you feel comfortable, and you can have any kind of drink you want, wherever your choice of a tipple is. So if you're over in Lanzarote, give them a shout. And make sure you take your Rangers Journal t-shirt with you when you're there as well. Thanks to Chris and Marty for joining us. It was good to have you. I know it's a late one tonight, but I appreciate that. And then everybody in the comments as well, thanks very much for your input. It was busy. Some good questions, some good points made, and there's all sort of chat going on in there. So it was good to have you late on. And it's just up for me to say every night it's a Rangers Journal night. See you, folks.